What's going on, guys? It's Dime, and today we're going to be sharpening this machete. I'm going to do a little bit of custom work on it. I'm going to take about that much, a little bit out of this blade so that you could choke up on it a little more, and I'm going to be wrapping that in leather. And then give y'all a little sneak peek as to the gift I just got done making and sent out to Kevin, the knife doctor. So y'all be getting a sneak peek of that as well. Yeah, let's get to it. Alright, you guys can see that little recess I made right there. That's going to allow me to wrap rope around the part of the blade, or leather. What I'm going to use is leather. And it's just going to allow me to choke up on it and not have the blade right there. And also make it where the rope or the leather isn't sticking out past where the blade is supposed to be. So, I just got that done. Now we'll get it clamped in, and I'm going to grind in the new edge because it's got a bunch of chips pitting from the rust. If y'all didn't see last video, I restored this, got it to where it is right now. It was covered in rust with a cheap plastic handle, so I made that handle for it and got all the rust cleaned off. But yeah, let's get a new edge on this thing. Alright, I just switched from this curved flap disc to get that little cutout in there to a flat one to be able to do this edge. Let's get to it. Eyes and ears and lungs when you're grinding, people. You'll regret it when you're older if you don't. Only get one set of eyes. Alright, I got the edge pretty well cleaned up. Gonna go inside, hit it with the stone, and then we're gonna get a sheath made for this because I don't have one and it needs one. So we'll be making a leather sheath for this, or a scabbard. Yeah, let's get to that. Alright, y'all, I've been waiting to have time to get this shipped out before I made this video. This is a gift I handmade for the knife doctor, Kevin. He's a great guy. Y'all need to go check him out if you haven't. He's an old USMC vet and lives out in Georgia. But the story behind this is, this was my great-grandfather's knife. It is a Norvell Shapley Diamond Edge. And this company was made between 1902 and 1920 from what I could find online in forums. I know the knife really isn't worth anything for parts or anything, but the history of it I thought was worth saving. So I made this little display, carved this out so you could see what the knife originally looked like and how used and abused it got from my great-grandpa and grandpa, and now I have it just laying around. I don't really have a use for it, but Kevin might in his new knife shop as a display piece. He had received I'll put up some pictures, he had received a old hickory wall display for knives and an old poster from when Shapley made the old hickory line of knives. And when I saw that, I thought, that's where this knife's gotta go. So I designed all this out and hand carved it. Put a French cleat on the back. Got another one for him to put on his wall. But yeah, I just wanted to show this. I'll be throwing this part of this little video in the middle of some of my full-length content. But yeah, I just wanted to show this off. I'm pretty proud of it. It's my first time doing something like this. Thought it turned out pretty good. Now that we're done with that, let's get back to the video. Alright y'all, I got that little recess cut out in the blade right there, so I can grab it like this, choke up on the blade. You get more control, and that groove right there fits in between my fingers so it's comfortable. I'm going to be wrapping this in some of this leather lace I have, the suede lace. Just kind of round it out, give it a bit of a grip right there. The blade's decently sharp just from the angle grinder, but we're going to be touching it up with a two-sided, it's like a Lansky pocket stone. They're really good for axes and machetes and stuff like this, just to keep them tuned up in the field or to help get that edge refined. We're also going to be making a sheath for this, or a scabbard. I already got a general shape cut out. I'm going to be doing rough side out on this leather. So it's going to get folded over. Sheath will get, machete will get put in here. That'll get folded over. We're going to be doing eyelets, quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 or 7. And then I ran out of my wax thread I usually use for sewing, so we're going to be punching holes. And I'm going to try and do a decorative stitch using this leather lace. Yeah, let's get to it. Alright, I got some clamps on here, and I got this one. I got this corner of this leather where I need it, so it's wide enough for the wide end of the machete, the tip of it, to get out. I'm going to go ahead and punch the hole and put the eyelet in so that it keeps it in place. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get that eyelet in there. Alright, there's the first eyelet in there. I'm probably going to double up this top corner, so I'll do 2 here, maybe ½ an inch spaced apart or something, and then I'll figure out where the rest go as we go. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and get these eyelets punched out and put in, and then I'll get back to y'all here in a minute. Alright, you can see I got all the eyelets put in there. Now I'm going to go through and punch holes between all the eyelets, and I'm going to do a kind of a cross stitch on the outside, decorative stitch. Haven't really done something like this before, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and get all these holes punched out, and I'll get back to you when we start sewing it up. Alright, got all these holes punched. I'm going to go ahead and trim up this end, get it to the shape, and then we'll go with the stitching. I think before the stitching, I'm going to go over all the edges with a torch, and then I'm going to color them all in dark with the Sharpie, or this permanent marker anyway. Yeah. Alright, got that roughed out. Take a little bit more off this little piece right here, and then we'll call that good, and we'll hit everything with the torch, color it in dark so that wide edge doesn't show behind the dark stitching. Yeah, I'll get back to y'all when I start stitching. Alright, I got all the holes punched, I got the edges torched and colored in, or at least where I'm going to stitch it so far. I'll get all this for the belt loop and stuff later. Let's go ahead and get this stitching done, see how it turns out. Make sure this lace is all twisted the right way so it all lays flat. I don't know, we'll see how this stitch turns out. I'm not sure how it's gonna go. We'll see. Then we'll be hitting this entire thing with some Neat's foot oil to condition the leather. Get some oil in it so it's nice and hydrated. That'll help the leather mold around the machete as well. Kind of see what I'm going for there. X's over the edge of the sheath. I'm going to keep this going. I'll get back to y'all when I'm a little bit more done with this. Alright. Pretty far through this. See all that stitching. All crossing over. Got this little bit left to do. I'll get back to y'all when this part's done. Alright, I got this belt loop pretty much cut to shape how I need it. I'm gonna go ahead and punch some holes. I'm gonna do a few eyelets, probably 5 of them, and then we might go around the edges of all the belt loop and put some of that cross stitching in as well. start with those 3. Alright, ain't too bad. See how this machete's fitting in here? It's pretty good fitment, I'd say. You know, you gotta have room right here because the end of the machete blade is wider, so it has to be that wide. But I think it looks pretty good. I gotta oil this whole thing up, and then we gotta do the wrap around right here. Let's get to that. Alright, the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna put a little bit of epoxy on both sides of the blade in this portion. Kind of help that leather stay in place, not slip around. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Just something to kind of help it stay. Now I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to start it up top, up here. Get a good coat of epoxy on the bottom of it. Now I'm going to wrap it real tight so it'll hold itself. Wrap it over itself on this first one, like so, and get a couple wraps on that, and then I'll put a clamp on it. I think it'll hold on its own. I might need to do a second piece of thread. I don't know. We'll see how this looks. I'll do something like this with a big gap in it. That might look kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to let this glue dry for a little bit. Then I'll cut off these tails. And we'll get everything oiled up. This leather, this wood, the entire sheath. Yeah, I'll get back to y'all here in a minute. Alright, while the glue dries for this leather, we're going to go ahead and get all this oiled down. I went ahead and added some more eyelets in here for reinforcement. Let's get everything oiled down with some neat's foot oil. Pour a little bit on here, and then I'll work it in there. Then I'll be able to let this sheath dry, all this oil soak in, while that glue's drying on the machete. Alright, we got the handle oiled, got this oiled up, sheath's nice and oiled up. Let's get this machete in there, take a final look at this project. See that stitching? I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect, but it's my first time doing something like that. It helped make that edge more rigid. It gave more character to it for sure, so I'm happy with it. Let me know what you all think of this project down in the comments below. How I can improve my content in the future, what you'd like to see next. Drop a like if you enjoyed. And don't forget to subscribe, stay up to date with new content. And share a video with a friend or some family if you enjoyed this, or you know somebody that might like some stuff like this. I'm trying to grow this channel, see how far we can take it. But yeah, this is another project done, guys. This has been Dime. Thank you for watching. Alright, y'all. I'd done all that and I didn't feel like this was a complete project. And I just started going at it with some more stuff. I ended up doing stitching all the way around all the edges, the belt loop and everything. I added this copper ring, little lanyard loop to be able to hang it flat up on a wall when it's not in use. And then I added a rigid layer to this holster so it's not as floppy as it was. You can actually get the blade in there a lot easier. And how I did that is I just used an old Rubbermaid container and cut a piece out wider, or as wide as the blade or a little bit wider, and slid it in there and epoxied it in. But yeah, those are my finishing touches to this. I'm calling it a complete project now. Got all that stitching done. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, just want to throw this in the end of the video, show y'all. I did do some more work off camera, but yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes. Hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks for watching.